Right, I'm checking this to check it out. So today we're going to talk about soul snatchers. Okay. Now that word or that term um, is used in a variety of different things, right? A variety of different meanings. Okay. But I'm using the term. I'm using it in the term of in the sexual term. Okay. Again, even in the sexual term, it can be used in a couple of different ways. You know, people say, you know, you can liken a girl to be a soul snatcher in terms of, you know, how good they are in bed, that kind of thing. You hear terms like, she sucked the soul out of my dick or whatever. You know, you can use that term like an endearing term, but I'm not talking about the endearing term of it. I'm talking about the term of more of an energy term, an energy, like taking energy away from you, like a demonic term. Okay, that's the term I'm going with. All right, that's the term I'm talking about. Now, I've only kind of been aware of this, or aware of it happening, pretty recently. And the reason why I say recently because I was speaking to a friend of mine, right? And you know who you are. And he made me aware of that. The energies that you exchange with a woman, during sexual intercourse. It's all about energy. You swap energies, of which that part obviously I knew already. Okay, but he went more into the part of when you're exchanging enemies with people, women of a certain mindset, women with a negative mindset or spirit, shall we say. When you're sharing it with women of a negative spirit, that's where it can become pretty troublesome. And so yeah, he pretty much made me aware of that part. Yeah, of which I wasn't aware of myself before. Okay, now. So yes, so it got me thinking. So I had to look back over the years. Oh, my phone's playing up. Yeah, so it got me thinking to look back over the previous years, right, of certain people I've been with, right, and my experience with them. Okay, and looking back now, I've realised that I've definitely been exchanging energies with some, bad-minded, spirited people. Now, bloody hell. Now, what does that look like? What am I talking about? Basically, right. So, when you deal with these women who like to, who like to soul snatch you, right? What it is with these women, right? For starters, they usually have a high sex drive. Okay. Now that part is not a problem. I don't mind a woman with a high sex drive. Okay. Because I'm someone who wants it as well a lot of times, so that's not an issue at all. But I'm just going over some of the things. So they usually have a high sex drive. Okay. Also, they can be quite lazy. Now, let me explain what I mean by lazy. Okay. Now, when I say lazy, I'm talking about. I'm not saying they don't initiate it. I'm not saying they don't put the work in when it comes to having sex. I'm not saying that. That's not the kind of lazy I'm talking about. I'm talking about where lazy in terms of they don't really care for your pleasure. Right? They don't really care for your pleasure. But when it comes to, okay, let's start with like foreplay kind of thing. Yeah, I fucking hate that word, but let's just use that. So we look at that, all right? So foreplay usually involves kissing, and then, you know, for a woman it involves kissing and, you know, sucking your dick. You know, they're the two things really what women do, right? Or if it's not sucking dick, you know, they'll use your hand to get you know, to get you off, or to get you up, yeah. But yeah, so what it is, so they're very lazy in that department. Now initially there might not be. Initially there might not be. In fact, looking back, I'll say initially they weren't, but very quickly they become lazy in that respect. Right, they become lazy in that respect, okay? So like I said, they won't really do any foreplay. They'll do the bare minimum to, you know, get you aroused. And yeah, so, you know, that's what they do. The foreplay part, it's not even really a thing with them. Like, that part is very, they want to get that part over and done with real quickly. Not really interested, you know. So yeah, so in that regard, they're very lazy. And then following on from that, they're not interested in your pleasure, right? They're only interested in their own, right? So let me expand on that. I'm talking about where they'll do what they got to do initially to get the sex going, yeah. Because all they mainly care about is them getting the pleasure, okay? And then after that, you know, like when I might be sex with women, for me, I like to. My aim is to pleasure them. So once things get going in the bedroom, I'm making sure I'm pleasuring them to my best of my ability, right? To which I do for the most part, you know. So once I've done that with them in the bedroom, they'll want more, right? They'll want more. It's almost like it's never enough, yeah. Like you could have a good session, you know, get them off a few times or whatever, you know, and then, you know, once you've got yourself as well, they'll want more. They'll be like, I could have that again. I want it again, right? What else now? There's some stuff to do say as well. Some of them say, they'll say certain things after it's been done. They'll say stuff like, oh, I needed that. Yeah, I really needed that. Stuff to that kind of effect, yeah? Again, they'll talk about themselves. They'll say, oh, yeah, like I said, so you know, they'll talk about themselves. I really needed that. I need it again, right? Because they're not. It's like never enough, you know. They'll just keep wanting more, yeah. So this is what these people do, all right? Now some people might say, well, like you think about it, you're looking into it too deep. That's not what it is. They just enjoy doing it. No, it fucking isn't, right? I know the fucking difference, man. I've slept with I've slept with more than enough women to know the differences, okay? Right? So I know what I'm fucking talking about. Everything's centered around them, yeah? They could, like I said, they don't really care about, you know, things that you like to do, you know, what I might like to do, what might pleasure me. They're not interested in doing it, yeah? They're not interested. Or they'll pretend to be interested, you know. They might, you know, they might pretend to give it a go or give something a try, you know, the odd time, and that's it, you know. They don't really care, you know. So And that's what I mean. Like you exchange energies with these people, and they just keep wanting to drain you of it. They keep wanting to take more and more energy out of you. You know what I mean? They want to keep extracting more and more and more. Yeah. And again, it's coming from a place of them receiving. It's coming from a place of what they can get. Yeah, that's, it's coming from that. It's coming from a place of what they can gain from it. You know, it's not really about you. You know. So in turn, you start to feel like you can start to feel like you're being a bit used. And there have been aspects of that actually, where you do feel being used, because looking back now, there'll be times right where let's say you might not really be getting along for whatever reason, or you might have an argument or some bullshit, blah blah blah, and then but the thing is, right, that doesn't really matter, because let's say there's been let's say the scene has been set where it's quite negative between these two, or you've had an argument or whatever else. Okay, well, they'll still want to have sex with you. They'll still want to extract energy from you, right? And once you've done that with them, right, then the next day they'll revert back to being a prick, or being a fucking knob, being a bitch, or whatever. Whatever the issues were, or whatever, you know what I mean? But, and also sometimes that they'll do things where they'll probably try and brush it under the rug a little bit. They'll brush whatever issues you got you two together, whatever issues you've got, what you've got together, what the disagreements and shit, blah blah blah. They'll try and hide that and push it under the rug, knowing that later on that night or whatever else, they'll be able to get what they want off you. All right. And like I said, after that, things are still pretty shit. Things will be still shit, kind of, you know what I mean? Now, to be honest, sometimes after that it could be fine for a little bit, yeah, because they've got what they wanted from you. They've got your energy from you, and then after that they'll go back to being a fucking prick again, right? So this is what I'm trying to say. They'll do what they can to extract your energy and take it out of you, right? That's what these people do. And yeah, so I can say, so fortunately, most of my sexual experiences haven't been like that. You know what I mean? Fortunately. So, and that's why it's so easy to look back at all the different relationships I've been in, all that stuff, to see that I can clearly see the difference. I can clearly see the difference of, you can call them energy vampires. That's another one. I think that's another term what most people know. So so it's easy to distinguish the difference between these energy vampires / soul snatchers compared to ones that aren't. It's very easy to see the difference, you know what I mean? Especially when you know what you're looking for and the signs and all that stuff. It's very easy to see the difference, you know. Now unfortunately, again, I've only been made aware of this, you know. I've only kind of understood this very recently, you know. And I started to, once my friend put me onto it, I started to do a bit more research into it, you know. And they were saying, you know, some of the signs, you know, these people are doing that, and everything married up, all the same things married up. And I thought, fucking hell, man, this is crazy, you know what I mean? So unfortunately, I didn't know about this stuff like years ago. I didn't, but that's life, innit? We all live and learn at different rates, you know what I mean? Some people learn the hard way, some people learn the easy way. I'm somebody that's learned the hard way for a lot of things in life, you know what I mean? And it's not fun. It's not fun, you know what I'm saying? But yeah. So, but yeah, you can do your own research on what I'm talking about anyway. And so, you know, if you get involved with this kind of people, it's best that you kind of cut it off. You know, it's best that you kind of cut it off if you can, you know. But as men, you know, it's, you know, it's kind of hard for us men, you know what I mean? But sometimes, you know, especially, you know, if the sex is good, you know what I mean? Even though what's going on may be a negative, you know, in terms of, you know, your energy being taken and stuff like that, it's kind of hard to kind of like pull back from that, you know what I mean? It's kind of hard, you know, as being a man, you know. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, you kind of feel like, you do feel like you've been used a bit, you know what I mean? You do feel like that. You definitely do feel that. And it's usually you don't hear men talking about being used, do we? We don't really say that about men. We don't. It's usually women what talk about being used, you know? Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I'm trying to say, like society now. So, you know, no, people think men can't get used. Fucking course they can. Of course they can get fucking used. You know what I mean? I've experienced it. I've experienced it. It's not a nice feeling. It's not. Some people might say, well, oh, well, you know, I don't care. I don't mind being used. Fuck it, I don't care. As long as I'm if I get to fuck all these bitches or fuck whoever all this, you know, all the time, I don't care about being used, blah blah. And guess what? I would have said the same thing if I was a bit younger. If I was younger and inexperienced, and I've heard, and I'm listening to somebody, you know, saying they get used by, you know, they feel used by women, you know, sexual wise, I'll be thinking, fuck that. Let them try and use me. I don't care. Blah blah blah. That's what I would say. But until you're in that kind of situation, and especially if like you've experienced it a few times with different people, you'll soon come to the realization that you don't want to be used, and it's not a nice fucking feeling, you know, because you know that you're exchanging energies with people of bad spirits. That's never a good thing. It's not. Because these people just suck you dry, literally and physically. No, literally and figuratively speaking, and then fuck off. You know, they'll go about their business. So when I say fuck off, when I say these people will suck you dry, literally and figuratively speaking, you know, and after that they'll fuck you off. What I mean is that they'll get what they get off you, and they'll either go about their business for the day, go about their business until whenever the next meeting is, or, you know, whether, you know, let's say you ended it with one girl, and they've took all that stuff away from you. They don't care. They'll just fuck off. They'll fuck off and move on to the next. and then drain their energy, drain their souls. Yeah, they don't care. These kind of people they don't care. What they care about is what they can get in the moment from whoever it is. Right? They don't give a fuck. Right? They'll just extract what they can from you and fuck off. You know? Fuck off for the day. Fuck off for a few days until you see them next time. Fuck off for the week until you see them next week. Or if you end up splitting up, they'll just fuck off and then get onto the fucking next stick. You know what I mean? And extract their fucking energy. You know? Because there's some real dark. There's some. People talk about heaven and hell and all that stuff and demons and stuff, but these people, demons and people with that demonic dark energy, they're all around us in real life. They're all around us, and especially since I've become more spiritually aligned since 2020, I can see it like it's just fucking night and day. I can just fucking see it, man. And I can look back from before that. I can look at the people, once I started to become more spiritually aligned and understanding what was going on, I look back at the previous people before that, prior to 2020 I was with, and I think to myself, did they have a bad spirit about them as well? You can look and think, what? Yeah, this one, she had a bit of she had a demon spirit about her. She had that, you can see it, and you can see it going, and obviously now, once you got more clarity and understanding about these things, you can see it going forward. It's like night and fucking day. Yeah, because like I said, like going back just before, like I was saying now, if I understood this information a few years ago, I wouldn't have put myself in certain situations from then. You know what I mean? Like, let's say I knew what I knew back, let's say 5-6 years ago, I wouldn't have allowed myself to get in certain situations. I wouldn't. Just wouldn't. So yeah, that's about it really. And hopefully some people can learn from what I'm talking about. And some people might have probably experienced what I'm talking about themselves, so you never know, you know what I mean? That's why I put these videos out. Yeah, I like to put these videos out here because it's good talking about life experiences and putting them out there. People can learn from certain things, man. You can learn from other people's mistakes and mishaps. You can learn from it, And yeah, man, that's what it's about. We fucking live and learn as life goes by, man. No matter what fucking age you are, you know what I mean? But some people, yeah, that's why I'm glad I'm an objective person, because it allows me to remove myself from certain. I can remove myself from certain situations or certain things, and look at it from a different perspective, different point of view. I can look at, your mind's more open. You're more open-minded. You can see things more clearly. You can see different things going on. You know what I mean? But anyway, I'm rambling on now. I didn't realize this video was gonna be fucking nearly 25 minutes long. But yeah. So until next time, I'm checking in. So check out. Well, that's what I said. No, I start the video saying checking in. I'm checking in, so check it out. Fucking, I lose my mind. And I end the videos by saying, until next time, I'm out.